My name is Brock Dubbels, and today I'd like to talk to you about the role of mobile in the new physical marketplace. So one of the things that I'm curious about as we begin, oh, by the way, as you're looking at this, did you know that I'm also a yoga teacher? It's after lunch, and I'd really like you to engage with me in a little bit of yoga. How does that sound? Yes. It'll be really low impact. So would everybody just stand up? Because I know you're woozy from lunch, and I want to nap just like you do. So the first thing that I invite you to do is just kind of stand with your hands out and shake your hands around. We're not going to hokey pokey, but we should have some fun. And just let your arms hang slack at your sides. Step back and forth, maybe let your feet move a little bit out till you're aligned with your shoulders. Great. Are you breathing? If you can, breathe through your nose and allow your chest to expand as you go. Isn't that great? So our first move, what I want you to do is just your right arm. And if there's somebody next to you, don't poke them in the eye. Turn your hand up towards the ceiling. Bring your arm forward. Turn your hand to the back. Your back. No, give yourself a pat on the back. Good job. You made it here. You're not napping yet. Wonderful. A little bit of yoga. Take good care of yourself as we're talking. One of the things that I want to do as we move through this is talk about the role of embodiment and the physical marketplace, because oftentimes we're really enamored with the digital, but we can't forget about the importance of the physical. One of the things that I'd like to know is what you know about the new physical marketplace, because I don't know if that's a thing yet. Is it new? So what I'd like you to do is on your notepad, I'd like you to group up with about 3 or 4 people and write down all the things that you know. Really, I'd like you to do that. You may have to meet some people. So we're going to take about 1 minute. What do you know about the new physical marketplace? Yeah. What's a predicament?
What is the new physical marketplace?
That's good. You can say, I'm guessing. So I made it up. What is the new physical marketplace? And we'll go through it as we go, but what I want to know right now is what you think about that idea. What does it mean to you?
Okay.
Did everybody hear that? We had a question, what is the new physical marketplace? And I'm intentionally not telling you right now. But we will go through it. How many have written something down? Please join. Be a joiner. Okay, we're about up on our minute. Now, what I'd like you to do is create a line under what you know, and I'd like you to write down what you want to know. I'm really proud of you all for getting into groups and participating. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And I'd really like to hear a few ideas of what you know and what you want to know. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to have your slips of paper. Wonderful. If I can read my writing, I think I might have a chance with yours. Thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. Don't worry if what you said is similar to what somebody else said, because that just means that it's more important, that other people have thought of it too. Others? Other slips? Hold them up and I'll come get them. Can you tell I used to be a Montessori teacher? Come on, kids. Okay, now one more. Now that you have a fresh piece of paper in front of you, we can start to tally some of our initial market research, can't we? All right. So you might want to write down what it is that people already know. Let's see. Brick and mortar, physical marketplace, malls, physically being there, being present. And when I hear that, my first impression is that I'm not distracted, that I'm completely grounded in that moment and my senses are cued in. If you meant something different, let me know. The vagaries of getting there. Good one. Parking, taking the bus, walking, getting dressed. So there's a lot about, are these get to know or want to know, or are these parts of the brainstorming of what you know about the physical marketplace? These are questions that I'm asking aloud because it begins to fuel my process as I begin to talk to people. Customers want it. Convenience under no. Want to know what are the tips and trips for bridging digital and physical marketplace. Know that the physical marketplace is time consuming. I don't know if it's convenient or not, but convenience is an issue. It's tangible. In other words, we can touch it. Requires workforce, resources. For example, one of the issues that we address at the bank is, are we going to create a footprint that has an employee in it, which requires a break room as well as a washroom? So those are very real issues as we begin to talk about the new physical marketplace, aren't they? What is want to be known is integration with digital. What does physical mean? How to go inventory free. Physical product known, physical interaction. Farmer's market, that's a good one. Want to know real versus marketplace, benefits to marketers and customers. No, physical product. One of the first things that comes to my mind as I think of that is, can you actually have a digital product that's delivered in the physical marketplace? Is that part of the new physical marketplace, is a digital experience? Want to know what is it? How it's beneficial? No. Tangible, touch, stores, brick and mortar, goods, person to person, face-to-face selling. And want to know, what is this? Is this made up? Yeah, it kind of is. But it's kind of made up because I did a lot of user research on the ground, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. So I don't want to take too much more time, but you now have kind of a list of the things that we know and things that we want to know. And I hope at the end we can come up with a list of the things that we've learned together. Because so much of presenting up here, I hope, is a cooperative learning venture. Because so much depends upon our social interaction for our learning. And I'll get more into that. Oh, I pressed that, don't I? Okay, so as we began to think about this, I told you initially about one of the problems that we face when we think about creating a new location so that people can participate in the physical marketplace. And when I think about the physical marketplace, what I'm really thinking about are physical economies. And anybody have an idea what a physical economy is? It's cash. So we're now moving into a situation where cash is not necessarily as important as it used to be, because so much can now be done through digital means. Credit cards. So one of the first things that we wanted to do is understand what is an autonomous marketplace. And if you'd like, you can walk down to Market Street in Montgomery and you can see a couple of these places. One is a coffee place where you can walk in and a robot will make your coffee. Have you been to the Amazon autonomous market? Yeah? What was your experience?
It was pretty seamless, to be honest with you. The hardest part was just connecting my Amazon Prime, to the physical space. Once that was done, it was really easy.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that it's not actually unattended, is it? So part of what they do here is they're providing a value proposition based upon a problem, which is when people are trying to get in and out on lunch, the thing that holds them up is the line to pay. So if they can remove that pain point, which is getting out quickly once I've chosen what I want, that's a value proposition, isn't it? And people say, oh, that creates value because I only have a half an hour for lunch. So what we wanted to do was go in and watch people using these autonomous markets and see how they were interacting with it, what the learning curve is, and how it is that this relates to things like ATMs. So this is actually quite a bit of work that we did. It includes looking at existing research, audit examples of autonomous or automatic marketplaces, context discovery and observation, subject matter experts. We conducted lots of conversations and intercepts, online moderated interviews about places that spark joy, because it was not enough for us to understand convenience. What we want to actually do is move beyond commodified and non-tangible value into aspirational value. And do you know what I mean by that? Aspirational value? We want people to identify a better life through coming into and interacting with us. So we want to fit into the aspirations. And when we talk about our brand, which is what do you want the power to do? Power in many ways is having access to more desirable choices. And desirable choices may lead to desirable outcomes. And we want people to attribute those desirable outcomes to us. That we increased the number of choices that you had, there were better choices, and they led to great outcomes. And working with us is making your life better. So as we began looking at that, we wanted to say, well, what are places that spark joy for you? And what does the new marketplace look like? In having been approached by the library at McMaster University about creating kiosks and reducing our library staff, one of the things that I asked is I said, we have a new wing here on digital media, the Wong Digital Media. Tell me a little bit about that. And they said, oh yeah, there's some wonderful former students, these alumni who made this great philanthropic contribution. And now we have this wonderful facility. And I said, do you think they would have done that without librarians? It got quiet just like here. And the idea is that there are some things that digital does well, and there are some things that human does well. And part of the thing that we need to understand is what makes people experience joy in these places and what draws them to them. And what that began to ask us is, what that began to lead to for us is, what is the role of mobile in the physical marketplace? Because as we're making it more autonomous, we can either create more machines, or we can go into the place where people already are, which is their mobile device. So I want to offer this question to you, which is a problem. It's 8 p.m., and I just realized I desperately need to wash my clothing for a job interview tomorrow. I don't have any quarters, and my roommates are gone. The laundry room doesn't have a change machine. The only store near me is closed. Can you help me? I'd like you to think about this problem right now, because this is a physical economy problem, isn't it? Any ideas? Call your friends? How many here have change? What do you have?
Like $100.
No, I mean like coins.
Oh, how many coins do I have?
Yeah.
1,000.
1,000 coins? You actually have 1,000 quarters in your hand?
Oh, right now, no.
In pocket.
No, next to my laundry.
I'm not home. I'm not asking for change. I'm just wondering if you have any. Does anybody have change? So it's becoming less and less of a phenomena, isn't it? That we, in fact, in Canada, they eliminated the penny. Did you know that? So slowly but surely, we're moving more into the digital economy and moving away from the physical economy. And this is an important idea for us, because sometimes the physical environment is not keeping up with the new digital economy, is it? One of the things that we wanted to do was begin modeling our hypotheses about what are some of the cases that people shared with us as we did intercepts and as we began to talk to them. And we began to identify personas. We began to identify it to our product epics and our mission and vision and OKRs. And we wanted to take these hypotheses about each steps that somebody was taking in one of those case studies, and then begin to hypothesize these different models. So as we begin to do that, we look at how people come to our page through search results, and we say, so you're here and you want to do this. What do you expect to happen next if you click this? And say, oh, is that what you expected to happen? What does this remind you of? What do you do here? What do you expect to happen next? And this is part of the co-design process that we go through as we begin to take the data from our user research and begin to put it into testing through co-design, understanding who it is that we're talking to, what are some of their inclinations, and then beginning to take our user story and say, okay, based upon this persona, what features are they going to need here? And what I can begin to do is say, okay, I'm going to go 2 different people, and I'm going to test feature A versus feature B. And feature A is going to be what we have now. Feature B is going to be something a little different. And I'm going to give them in different orders. That's counterbalancing, right? And eventually what I'll begin to do is see, okay, what are some of the problems? What are the things that help them as we go through? Because what we began to learn from our model is that when people walk into these physical experiences, or even within our digital experience, if prior knowledge is lacking, what we need to create is early and instant success so that they can move through our experience towards the goal that they've identified. In this case, getting change to do their laundry, right? Did anybody imagine just running out and buying new clothes? That's what I would do.
Somebody said that.
Okay, or anybody think about washing in the sink with a bar of soap? Travel strategies? I haven't done it. That's a joke. Maybe it isn't. So as we begin thinking about it, if you're lacking prior knowledge, what do we have to do? We begin to see that the value or the call to action is not necessarily apparent apparent, so we have to pick it up very simply. Oftentimes what people do is they'll look for external cultural tools, artifacts, and symbol systems within the physical environment. But the next thing that they're going to do is they're going to look for social help. But when we're talking about autonomous marketplace or an automated marketplace, that social help is not apparent. And by the way, culture is also a socially related relational learning experience. So one of the things that differentiates us from, for example, like the great apes or chimps, is our ability to project what somebody else needs and to work in teams. So when you watch a troop of apes or chimps, what seems like they're working together, they're not. They're using each other as tools. One of the things that we really do well as humans, if you read The Origins of Becoming Human by Michael Tomasello, which I really recommend, he talks about that ability for cooperation on a relational level and the importance of shared contextual inference, as well as paired contextual inference, as well as individual contextual inference as individual agency, paired agency, and then cultural agency, where we all work together towards a greater goal. So when we think about this, what do we begin to do in order to reach that goal of getting the laundry done? The things that we thought about are, how do we embed our call to action within the physical environment? And then, how do we activate our digital experience in order to augment the physical environment? Because as I told you, there are some things that I learned that machines and digital do well. And there are some things that humans do well, right? So what are the things that the digital can do well? And also, how would a human do it? And that's one of the ways that you can begin to think about that digital experience. One of the things that I would like you to also think about right now is, as we're moving from this physical economy into the digital economy, where does the digital economy exist? And what is the role of digital augmentation with the ubiquity of mobile devices? Well, we can see that the majority of the space, at least here in the United States, much of the population are in large urban centers. And what inference or hypothesis might you make about the physical economy versus the digital economy based upon urban versus rural? Sure. What could we learn about the physical economy versus digital based upon population? Also, people who are older tend to not have the digital literacy of the younger generation. So, for example, how do we onboard some of this older population, which is actually a very wealthy and powerful group within our population, who are very hungry for digital experiences? For example, did you know that most people retire with the last technology that they had at work, and that's what they go forward with? My study with octogenarians at the Mayo Clinic, many of them, an octogenarian is 80 plus, right? Many of them were hungry for learning and gaining knowledge about touchscreen experiences, and we had to go really basic, where I had to walk around the room and I had to say, okay, put out your hand. I'd say, this is a click. This is a double click. And then I'd say, now you do it to me. So it was very basic, and in many cases, onboarding them into this experience takes a little bit more thought, because if you were like me and you bought the first iPod, remember those little hard big bricks? I loved it. It had a few things that you could do, but now when I open my phone, there are like multiple screens, and I have like 80 apps on my phone, right? That's a lot of complexity, and that's not even just the navigation within the screen. So one of the things that we wanted to do is understanding our journey from the perspective of what is a virtual cycle versus a vicious cycle. And helping people in the discovery phase, and understanding that our initial flywheel is actually supplemented to engage and reinforce through a secondary flywheel. So that's it. I wanted to ask you if there's anything that you'd like to know more about, anything that you've learned that you'd like to share that maybe I didn't think of, or maybe what you'd like to learn after this.